Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lisa Hughes. We're about to listen in to Mayor Walsh's news conference as the city responds to the coronavirus. We've got about 50,000 students whose last day of school is today in the city. Let's listen in.
The coronavirus is one of the greatest public health challenges that our city has ever faced. As of today, we have 33 confirmed cases with Boston residents. We expect those numbers to climb. Our primary objective right now is to slow the spread and flatten out the curve so that our medical centers don't get overwhelmed. This strategy is crucial to helping our most vulnerable residents and make sure that we can rebound from this as soon as possible. I also want to thank, today we had a briefing with the Boston City Council this morning and members of the Boston delegation, the legislature, as well as some of the constitutional officers. The city has taken bold steps. We're declaring a public health emergency yesterday. As you all know, the St. Patrick's Day Parade was canceled for yesterday. The Boston Marathon's been postponed. We are closing Boston Public Schools effective tomorrow. Kids were in school today picking up supplies for the closing of the school. Last night, Governor Baker announced the schools will be closing statewide and that restaurants will be takeout only and that gatherings of more than 25 people are not allowed. The state also announced that it will reduce the MBTA and commuter rail service starting tomorrow. Complete information on all of that information can be found on the MBTA site at mbta.com. Today, I can share some new updates relating to construction activity in the city of Boston, Boston Public Libraries, and Boston Center for Youth and Family Community Centers. These decisions that we make are not easy, but they're out of abundance of caution. It's about protecting the worker and preventing the spread of the coronavirus. Effective tomorrow, Tuesday, March 17th, we are suspending all regular activity on construction sites in the city of Boston. All sites should maintain the crews they need to help keep their sites safe and secure. And here's what I mean by safe and secure. All sites need to be safe from anyone on a site or is near the site. Materials need to be secured down to keep them from blowing away in the wind or any other issue that might happen. And securing measures should be taken to prevent any trespassing. All of this work will need to be done by Monday, March 23rd, so it allows the opportunity to finish a lot of this work this week. After the sites have been made safe, skeleton crews will be permitted for the remainder of the suspension to ensure construction sites remain safe and secure. I encourage smaller, especially construction on wood frame, to have security on their projects to protect their building from fires and other potential safety issues. The only work that we're anticipating right now moving forward in the city will be emergency work. That work will need to be approved by the City of Boston's Special Service Department. We're going to prioritize that work and keep our neighborhoods safe. The work that we're talking about generally is emergency street repairs and utility hookup work. I want to remind Boston employers that we're in a robust construction market. Boston is home to a talented, hard-working construction workforce. And when we get back to work as usual, employers need to bring these workers back. And the right thing that we need to do right now is lay them off and not fire them. This is something that we're going to be monitoring literally week to week, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to change the policy. But right now, out of an abundance of caution for the workers on the job site and to prevent spreading the virus, we want to make sure those workers are safe. I also have an update on the Boston Public Library system. All branches of the Boston Public Library system will be closed as of today at 6 p.m. That includes Central Library. During this time, we're expanding automatic renewals and allowing people to keep their books and other materials for 15 weeks instead of the usual 3 weeks. We are waiving all late fees until May 1st. We have pushed back library card expiration dates. If your card is due for renewal, you'll have until October to renew it. We're increasing the limits on accrued fines for if your account is blocked. So basically what we're doing is we're lifting a lot of these fines. If you cannot get onto your system, you'll be able to get onto your system. Use online library services will not be suspended for patrons during this period. We know how important library resources are to the people of Boston, especially while our schools are closed. In the coming days and weeks, we'll increase our online service, including e-books, downloadable movies, audiobooks, and other information resources. As part of our school closure plan, we are distributing Chromebooks to every student who needs them, as we will be encouraging them to use them in the BPL's vast collection of resources during this time, so we'll be able to use them for that. This is a difficult decision because a lot of people use the library as a place to go to get their information, and we're not taking this closure lightly. It was a situation that we decided that we had to do again for the safety of workers in gathering spaces. I also have an update for our BCYF Community Centers. All BCYF pools are closed. BCYF gyms and fitness centers are closed. And as of on Wednesday, all Boston Center for Youth and Family programming will be suspended. Only select centers will be open for youth meal distribution throughout the Boston Public School closure. So we're taking that very, very seriously. We're also going to be working with our street workers to make sure that we're continuing working in our street. For a list of meal distribution locations, if you're a parent in the school system, you should know by now, but in case you don't know, go to boston.gov/coronavirus. boston.gov/coronavirus. As we deal with the immediate businesses of keeping people healthy and safe in Boston, we've also been preparing for our long-term recovery efforts. There is no doubt that the coronavirus will have long-term impacts on our community. That's why we're also developing a comprehensive plan to help local families recover in the weeks and months ahead. Today, I'm announcing a new fund, the Boston Resiliency Fund. This effort, in a partnership between the City of Boston and several of Boston's leading institutions, we've been overwhelmed by support. This fund will coordinate fundraising and philanthropic efforts to help Boston families who are most impacted, with a focus on child care and seniors. The money raised will go directly to local organizations and nonprofits that support Boston's families. Our main objectives are food access, technology to support at-home learning for our students, and support for our healthcare workers and first responders, including child care. Our healthcare workers are crucial to our recovery efforts. We need to make sure that they can stay in their jobs and do their job. One of the biggest needs is child care, and we're using this fund to help meet that need. As the situation develops, we'll continue to identify the greatest needs and make sure that we're supporting the people who need it the most. In the face of challenges like this one, Boston and the people of our city show their true colors. Every day, I've seen people help organizing, stepping up, and doing the right thing. I've seen incredible acts of kindness and generosity. This fund is a perfect example of that. We have an initial goal of $20 million, and I'm confident that we'll reach that goal. Already, some of Boston's leading institutions and companies have committed to the fund in the past 72 hours. Those who have contributed $1 million or more include Jeff Layden from Vertec Pharmaceuticals, Ann Koblansky at Partners Healthcare, Jack Connors, Liberty Mutual, Bain Capital, the Gross Family Foundation, Mass Mutual Statewide, and John and Cindy Fish. I would also like to thank folks that have been helping us create this fund and set this fund up. Stacia McNaught from Vertec, Sharon McNally from Camp Harborview, the Shaw Family Foundation, and the Boston Foundation, and many members of the team here at City Hall. We're going to continue to share updates in the coming days and weeks ahead. For now, if you'd like to donate, please go to boston.gov/Boston Resiliency Fund. That's boston.gov/Boston Resiliency Fund. Every dollar we raise will make our city more resilient and will help our communities recover faster. Every dollar we raise will ensure that families have access to nutrition and nutritious food. It will help ensure that every student has access to quality educational material while they're learning from home. It will ensure that our hardworking first responders and medical professionals have access to the child care they need right now. This is one of the best ways that you can help our fellow Bostonians get through this. Boston is a strong and resilient city, full of strong and resilient people. We look out for one another, and when a challenge arises, we rise to that occasion together. I want to thank all of our generous partners who have already contributed to the fund. And thank you to the people of Boston for your continued patience, understanding, and support during these very important times. As a reminder, for more information about closures and resources to the city, we're asking people to go to boston.gov/coronavirus. Again, I want to remind everyone, if they feel sick or have questions about testing, call your doctor or 311 for information. We will have increased staffing starting this afternoon on our 311 call center. This is a citywide effort, and everyone's doing their part. I want to thank the people of Boston and all of our first responders and medical staff, all of our educators, and everyone who's making a difference. And I know that there's a lot of decisions that are being second guessed and triple guessed, but every decision that we're making here in the city of Boston is to make sure that we ensure people's safety and we prevent the spread of the coronavirus. With that, I'll take any questions you have.
Mayor, is there concern that cutting service with the MBTA is going to increase ridership on the transit buses that do run?
The question is, I'm just going to repeat the question as asked it is, but cutting service on the MBTA, will that increase ridership on the buses and trains that still run? I think the best way to answer that is by looking at Boston today. Many people are working from home or they're not working, and I think that the MBTA, I'm expecting is seeing a decrease in ridership across the board, and I think over the next couple of weeks we're going to see a larger decrease of ridership. This is a critical time for us right now to prevent the spread. I know the numbers have gone up in Boston, and they've gone up the last 7 days every day. But I think if we can prevent the spread from happening and try and level the virus off, we'll be in a better position long term.
Do you know how many people have been tested in Boston to date? And are there any new details or updates about mobile testing and mass testing?
I'm not sure. I'm going to ask Marty Martinez come up here and address the questions he can address from the Chief of Health and Human Services, Marty Martinez.
We know statewide as of this morning there's been about 1,000 people that have been tested. We don't necessarily have the Boston specific numbers of who's been tested, but we know that's happening. We know the state's working to grow its capacity every single day, and we believe that they'll be able to start to get to 1,000 in short order, that they'll have 1,000 a day. The private firms are already on, so people can also get tested through their primary care physician. And as a reminder, to reiterate the mayor's point, if people are not feeling well, we don't want you to go to the hospital. We don't want you to go to the ER. We don't want you to call 911. We do want you to call your primary care provider. It's the best way to get a test, by calling your primary care provider.
What's the criteria?
And I know, just so I'll come back to a second, sorry. And I also know the state's working really hard to get more tests, and that's their priority right now. And we're going to continue to work with the state, hand in hand. This is a time for us to come together. This is going to be a question for Marty.
Probably for you, sir. What is the criteria for testing? I talked to a woman today who's 65 years old, has a temperature of 103, is coughing, and everyone she's talked to has told her she's not sick enough for a test.
So the State Department of Public Health has been following the CDC's guidelines. Those were loosened on Friday. Those guidelines used to be pretty restrictive. You had to be, it had to be out of travel or contact with someone who had tested positive. That has since been expanded to a variety of other measures. For now, most people in categories can get tested. You still have to have some sort of risk factor. There still has to be some level of connection to either someone who tested positive or someone else who is at risk for exposure. But again, if you call your primary care provider, they're following the state guidelines, and they have been expanded, which is why the state's gone from, I think, had 475 tests on Sunday to now over 1,000 as of today. So the guidelines have gotten broader, and more people will get tested in short order.
Are you comfortable with the amount of testing and the pace of testing?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think that as far as the testing and the amount of testing, I think people would like to see more tests, clearly. There's no question about that. I think I made a comment yesterday that I'd like to see the CDC come down with more tests, but we're being told that this week we're going to drastically increase the number of tests that are going to be happening, so hopefully we can get caught up on that. When I say we, I'm saying collectively, but the city does not do testing. We don't have the ability to institute testing either. Well, I think the question is, what can, with all the hourly workers going out of work, what can the city do? We're working right now with our economic development office to see exactly how we can be assistance. I think ultimately it's going to be, there's a piece of legislation coming down from the federal government that's going to have some recovery options for salaried and workers. The State House, I know the governor filed legislation today dealing with unemployment and some other opportunities. So I think that we're asking for quick action on all of these efforts, both on a nationwide effort in Congress. And I know that the state is pretty focused on this right now.
Mr. Mayor, the schools go out tomorrow, obviously. Can you tell us a little bit about, do you think prepared to handle this? And what would you tell families as they begin this process?
Great question. Thank you for asking me that. The question was, are we prepared to handle the schools being out tomorrow, and our families prepared for it? I think that's really one of the things that we tried to hold out on is closing schools because it was important that families had the opportunity to go to work and not have to make arrangements. And, we gave them several days beforehand, which I know clearly is not enough for a lot of families. I would say one thing, I would ask families to be very cautious that not having large gatherings of young people together. I mean, that defeats the purpose of kind of keeping this spread contained. Also, if you have older relatives taking care of your kids, be cautious of that as well, because that's something that we want to keep people healthy. And I think that again, I don't know what the percentage of workers that are going to be home right now. By the end of this week, I think the vast majority of employees that work for companies in the city and the state will be working from home or home.
Mr. Mayor, will you go over again the people that are going to be helped by the Resiliency Fund? Are all Bostonians able to apply for some help?
No, that's not the way it's set up right now. What we're doing, let me just get that page here for you. It's just so I get it correctly. I don't want to say the wrong thing. The money that's going to go to organizations, nonprofits that support Boston's families, our main objective right now, and we're focused right now, is on food access and making sure that we have through the different food pantries around the city to make sure they work through the Greater Boston Food Bank and assisting them to make sure we have enough food on hand. Technology to support our at-home learning for our students, so we purchased additional Chromebooks to make sure that we're able to do that, any other costs that come with that. Supports for our healthcare workers and first responders, including child care. We're working right now with Mass General Hospital and our team here at City Hall to come up with a policy and a procedure on how do we create child care opportunities for first responders and for nurses and doctors. That's where we're beginning with this. This is not a fund that can be applied to pay rent and mortgage and bills. That's not the intent of this fund. The intent of this fund is to support basically some nonprofits and support in very specific areas. A lot of that other stuff goes back to a question asked earlier with unemployment, things like that. Those relief efforts will have to happen at a national level, state level, and in some cases city level.
Do you know the scope, Mr. Mayor, in terms of construction? Do you know how many projects, how many people we're talking about citywide?
It's massive. I don't have a number. Tens of thousands. I mean, we're in the middle of a boom right now, and this is a decision that today is a difficult decision to make, just like all the other decisions we made on the day we made the decision, they were difficult. And then a few days go by and you realize it really wasn't that difficult. And it's something that, construction is at the core of our economy here in Boston, something, clearly I come out of the trades. I was a construction worker myself. This is something that is very personal to me and to a lot of us. So that's why, out of abundance of caution, we're looking at 14 days potentially, and then we'll revisit it, and hopefully they can be the first workers back to work. But again, 14 days from now, if we're in a different situation, we'll be worrying about some other things.
Mayor, with everything closing down, schools, construction, restaurants, bars, what is it that you want people to do to stop the spread of this? Do you want people to shelter in place? Do you want everyone to stay home, stay out of the city?
Well,
what do you want?
I think what we have to do is practice community distancing. I think that, I've seen people walking today and people walking, a lot of them by themselves, and if you go for a walk, that's fine. Stay out of large gatherings. As Chief Martinez talked about, the number in Boston is 33, the number in the state is somewhere in the 160 mark. If we can try and isolate that when we get a real number on the tests, when all the tests are in, if we get a real number and we understand what we're dealing with here, if we can do the best of keeping to ourselves and spending some time together, that's probably the smartest thing we can do to prevent the spread of the virus. You look at some other countries around the world, and they got to it too late. And what they've done now in Italy, for all intents and purposes, the entire country shut down. I would love us not to get to that point, and if we can somehow level this off, but by working closely together, not working physically closely together, but working closely together with each other to prevent that, the spread, and that would be the best thing we could do.
Is the state being transparent enough with its testing results, do you think? Should the state be giving us daily breakdowns?
I mean, again, I think it comes down to a magnitude of capability and capacity. I mean, this is something that, as we said, a month ago, none of us were talking about the coronavirus, and a month later, we're testing people and figuring it out. And I think as time goes on, the transparency and all of the information that we need is going to be there. Certainly, I'd like the information immediately, and we get as quickly as possible. But again, I think this is the time for us to be patient with each other and moving forward. And it's not the time, in my opinion, to be pointing fingers at each other. You know, the community, the public wants information, and they want it. And I think as quickly as we get the information, we should get it out to people. You know, that's why I'm trying to do daily briefings to people to get as much information as possible. And that's what we're going to continue to do here.